This is our program dealing with none. Let's take a look at it. Very simple program. Put some red circles along the top and they're going to move down and back up. Put some blue circles along the left edge. They'll move to the right and then back. What we're going to do is look for collisions. When one of the blue circles bounces or collides with one of the red circles, we're going to remove those two circles. So let's take a look. It's waiting for a click, so I'll wait for a click. Got one collision, so they're removed. And hopefully we'll have some more collisions eventually. There's another collision, they're removed. And another collision, they're removed. And another collision, they're removed. So let's look at how that works. Nothing special in this. This says blue circles. That's the circles on the left is a list. This makes circles, puts them in random Y locations along the left, appends them to the list, and then adds them to the screen. Red circles is an empty list. That's the list that's going to go on the top. Make a circle that's at a random X location right at the top, append it to red circles, and then add it to the screen. So we've got a bunch of blue circles on the left, a bunch of red circles on the top. X velocity and Y velocity are both set to 1, and I'm going to change those when circles hit the bottom or hit the left or right edge. This says for all the circles in max circles, and this says I'm going to ignore that for the moment. So for every circle in blue circles, move it. And then if that circle hits the left edge, change its X velocity. Else if that circle hits the right edge, change its X velocity. So again, for all the circles, take blue circles and move it, bounce it off the edge. And I'm ignoring that line deliberately. We'll talk about that in a minute. Same thing for red circles. For every circle, same line except it refers to red circles, so I'm going to ignore that. Red circles move, red circles sub I dot move. And then if we have hitting an edge, bounce it. If we have hitting the, let's see, so this one is hitting the top edge, bounce it. This is hitting the bottom edge, bounce it. So again, we say for all the circles, take red circle sub I and move it. If it hits the top, bounce it. If it hits the bottom, bounce it. So what is this line all about? Well, it turns out that in our next bit of code, we're going to check all the blue circles and all the red circles, all the possible pairs between those, and see if there's been a collision. And if there's been a collision, then I need to remove those two circles. That's easy, but I also need to say these circles no longer exist. And if I'm going to say these circles no longer exist, then I'll say that particular circle or one of the particular circles is set to none. And if it's none, I can't move it. I can't apply get X. I can't apply get X here. If this one is set to none, then I can't move it. I can't get its Y value. So basically it comes down to this. I'm going to check for collision. If there's a collision, I'm going to set things to none. And if it's none, I can't do anything at all with an object that's none. So all this code that manipulates blue circles sub I can't execute unless blue circles sub I is not none. All this code that manipulates red circles sub I can't execute unless red circles sub I is not none. So I need to be very careful that my object really exists, that it's not equal to none before I start doing anything. Now here's the stuff where I say if we have a collision. So this says for all of the combinations of red and blue circles, if blue circles is not none and red circles is not none, that means if that particular blue circle still exists, and that particular red circle still exists. If those still exist, then I can check them for collision. Otherwise, the program would crash. But let's pretend that they do exist. So that's true, and that's true, and that means that I can check for collides, blue circles sub I and red circles sub J. If they do collide, then I remove the blue circle, I remove the red circle, and now I take that blue circle and I set it to none, and I take that red circle and I set it to none. And the idea is that the next time through, where I'm checking all of the combinations of red and blue circles, I don't check them when the blue circle or the red circle is set to none, because I can't apply collides if there's nothing there, if that's none, or if that's none. And similarly, if the circle has been eliminated, then I can't move it and I can't apply get X. I can't move this one and I can't apply get Y. So that's what's going on. Basically, I'm saying if the circle is still real, then do the usual stuff. If the circle is still real, do the usual stuff. For every combination of circles, if they're both still real, then check them for the collision. If we do have collision, remove both circles and set both circles to none. That's going to turn out to be really important for our next game where we're going to have a lot of asteroids or meteors that we're shooting down with a lot of lasers. So we need to be able to detect when we have deleted something from the screen.